this morning, news that Harry and Meghan have been invited to the coronation. I'm joined by royal editor Russell Myers. Ross is in Los Angeles for us, and Dr Amir is going to be giving his view on Harry's interview with that trauma expert. First, though, a bit of an olive branch from the King, which is not unexpected.
No,
really.
I don't think so. I didn't think he would be as churlish as to not invite Harry and Meghan, despite all sort of their gripes and groans from over the water. And they have received an invitation. Very interesting how they let that sort of slip out their team.
I know, they let us know that. You see, I think that's weird.
It is a little bit strange because they don't comment on a lot of things. There's an awful lot of stories on the back of Harry's book and his TV appearances, but they have let it be known that they have received email correspondence to the May the 6th coronation. So will they, won't they? I thought last week they probably wouldn't because of the hoo-ha over chucking them out of Frogmore Cottage. Now we understand that they're feeling OK about being evicted from their UK home. I mean, your guess is as good as mine at the moment, but it's still... The circus runs on.
Well, it does, and there was more of the circus at the weekend when he had this, well, it was like a therapy session that people had to pay for. And, you know, and he did say a lot of things that he's already said. In fact, let's hear the man himself. Very revealing and very...
he thought it would erase the memory of his mother, but when he got it, he felt sort of free from it. A bit of word salad, but this is what we've come to, you know, expect from Harry. Sort of
wears his heart. I don't think the army did that necessarily. I mean, I think they would have anybody that wants to...
No, again...
That's a strange thing to say.
It is. I thought it was a bit strange because, you know, he talks about his fondness for the army and how well... and that sort of made him, turn him into the man he has become, I suppose. So, yeah, a little
Not
little
sure
bit
the
odd.
army would be all that happy about that right now, if that's what he's saying. It's just bizarre. Tell you what, we've got our Ross in LA. Ross, I wonder about the reaction to this over the weekend and just generally, because they have, it has to be said, become figures of fun. They've been lampooned on South Park, and you know, you watch all the chat shows, the late night chat shows. A lot of them have been having a real go at him. So, where do they stand in the celebrity world, if you like?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely dipped out here, as you say, Lorraine, but also, as you would imagine with this as well, you know, I think it was somewhat mixed. I think there was, you know, a degree of sympathy for Harry from some people as well, you know, when he touched on, you know, the lack of affection then about him being a father. So I think he garnered some votes there, but, you know, it's very mixed out here. As we said before, I think the popularity definitely not as it once was.
And we've got to a stage now where people are actually, you know, famous people are having a go as well, and you know what they're like sheep. So if one person does it, then it kind of opens the floodgates, doesn't it? Which actually must be quite worrying for them, I would have thought.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You know, again, as you say, the minute one comes out, then everyone thinks, oh, it's fair game and we'll all start to come out now. Rebel Wilson, comedian and actress, she's been talking about the time when she met the couple for the first time, and I think you'll get from this she kind of liked Harry more than Meghan.
See, that's very interesting. I don't know whether anybody would have said that even a few months ago, and she's not the only one, is she?
No. No, Chris Rock, we talked about it earlier on in the teasers. Coming up, I'll be telling you more about that Chris Rock live Netflix special. But even during the Netflix special, he referenced that now legendary interview on Oprah and that whole part when she talked about the royal family possibly being racist. He had this to say about that.
Been very, very interesting, isn't it, Ross? Thank you for the moment. During the interview, the doctor that he was talking to, his name was...
Activity disorder. It's a behavioural issue, a psychiatric condition. We don't know exactly what causes it. We know people who are at increased risk are those with a family history or babies who are born prematurely or with a low birth weight. And these symptoms do vary from person to person, but the main symptoms are difficulty concentrating or focusing and hyperactivity and impulsive behaviour. Now, what Dr. Gabor believes and what his research comes to his mum, and what I would say, you know, anyone, whether they're rich...
Oh, lovely. Rita, it's so good to see you.
Thank you.
It really is. Now and forever, I guess one of the hardest things was choosing the songs, because there are so many, and so many people that you wanted to work with.
It's so true, and the 70s are still so relevant today. And, you know, when you're doing an album and you're trying to kind of bring something new to it, I thought, what could be different? And that's where the duets idea came about. And I started looking at those songs from the 70s as possible conversations between lovers. And, you know, you start with a ton of songs and then you put them in and then you narrow them down by which songs would make those great conversations. And one of the other things that was just so funny when we talk about 70s songs, of course, on this album, we have Willie Nelson and Smokey Robinson and Keith Urban and Jackson Browne, as you saw, Elvis Costello.
Oh, wonderful.
But the 70s are still so relevant. I was at an Eagles concert, and there were these two young guys behind me, and we were all singing and dancing and harmonizing and having a great time. And after an intermission or something, I turned to them and I said, how do you guys know all of these songs? You're so young. And one guy was Irish, and he said, okay, forgive my bad Irish accent, but he said, if your parents had taken you to as many Eagles shows as my parents have, you might know the songs. And the other guy was Scottish, and in his Scottish accent, which I would let you do. I'm not going to do that one, Lorraine. But he said, I just love that music. I love that period. So I said, well, I'm Rita. It's very nice to meet you. And the Scottish guy said, well, I'm Lewis. And it was Lewis Capaldi.
Okay.
And then the Irish guy said, I'm Niall, and it was Niall Horan.
For goodness
And they knew
sake.
every single word, every single,
lovely.
yeah, it was
that is
fantastic.
so good. And they're such good mates as well.
Yes.
They really are. They're good guys. You need to do something with them.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That has to happen. It really does. That absolutely has to happen. But
I'll
it's
take
true,
that. You make that call, Lorraine.
I will, absolutely. Timeless classics, though, that's the thing. A good song is a good song.
It's a good song.
And a good song that resonates with you, that touches people, whether people have it at their wedding or it brings a memory back to them. These are the songs that we want to hold on to.
You know, my mom was Greek, but she loved music, and she always had music on in the house and in the car. And we were driving one day, and that Bread song came on that's called Everything I Own.
Oh, yes.
And my mom said, what do you think this song is about? And I said, you know, I'm a 12-year-old or something. I think it's about a girl and a guy, and they broke up, and they're never going to see each other again. And she said, maybe, but I think maybe it's about somebody who died, and you're never going to see them again. And I was like, way to go, Mom, bring me down. But it was also a way to understand that people have different interpretations of songs.
Totally, and it means, and at different times and stages in your life. Dame Helen Mirren was on the red carpet last night for her new superhero movie, Shazam! Fury of the Gods.
Confrontation between these sort of classical, very serious sort of characters, and I thought it was a brilliant idea to have the idea of gods and goddesses coming from from thousands of years ago to reclaim their their territory from these annoying young hip Americans who've stolen it.
Well, exactly. What I like about it is it's funny. It's silly, but it also has a big heart. And, you know, it really shows that the heroes are the underdogs. And I love that because I think a lot of kids will really identify with them. And it's a great message.
I completely agree, Lorraine. And, you know, that was the reason I wanted to do it, because I felt that about the first Shazam. Yeah. And I'm not a big superhero sort of, it's not my sort of style of movie particularly, but I had seen Shazam and I'd been utterly charmed by it for that very reason that you just articulated. And so when I was asked to be in the second one, you know, I jumped at it.
Very much so. I tell you what, those costumes are fantastic, but apparently really, really heavy.
They were incredibly heavy. I mean, I've worn some heavy costumes in my life. Nothing compared to the heaviness of these costumes. But of course, being an actress, you know, and it gave you swagger. That was the great thing about those costumes, with the cloak and the sort of Roman skirt swishing around, you know, all made of real leather. But it was very, very heavy. We were shooting in Atlanta in the middle of summer, which is notoriously hot and moist. So we were very hot and moist in our costumes.
I'll bet you were, especially with real leather. Oh, yes, absolutely. Stunts, did you do all your own stunts?
Yeah. I did do some, I mean, I worked obviously with stunt coordinator and stunt people, but I did do some stunts. In fact, I broke my finger rather famously.
Oh.
This, you see that bent finger and that straight finger. This I now call my Shazam finger. So I'll take it to the grave with me. You know, we're talking of the costumes.
Yeah.
When we first... that was my first sense of how big this film was going to be, because, you know, you go to these amazing costume builders and they build them, and the first thing they do is they scan your body, so they have an exact measurement, and then the costume is very specifically built to your proportions exactly, you know, so it's literally built on you.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then all hand-painted. Yeah. I mean, it was an amazing experience to go to that costume.
Do you get to keep that costume? Because it's not going to fit anyone else, so you think that they would just give it to you and you could strut around in it?
No, I don't get to keep it. I see me turning up at a cocktail party in London, you know, wearing
I'd like
that
to see that. Can I just say, I love your hair. It looks brilliant, and I loved it in the movie as well. It looks so... it's so elegant, it's gorgeous.
You're not supposed to have longer hair after a certain age, but during COVID, I started growing my hair, and I hadn't actually had long hair since I was sort of in my 20s, you know, so... And it was sort of grew and grew and grew, and I couldn't be bothered to cut it, basically. And then I thought, you know what, it's pretty cool. I think I'll stick with it for a little while. Yeah. And so... It will come off eventually, but I'm kind of enjoying it. It's quite radical.
No, I think it's beautiful. You really suit it. It looks absolutely gorgeous, and I loved seeing you at the BAFTAs.
And it was great.
Yeah, wasn't that lovely? That whole speech that you did. It was beautiful.
Oh, for the Queen, yes, yes, that was very moving to do that. And a great honour to be asked to do that, actually. Yeah.
No, it was. You're doing some really interesting work. I would say the past sort of 10 years, so much really interesting and such a diverse amount of work. You know, we've got Shazam, but then we've got the prequel to Yellowstone, which I absolutely love. I'm right in the middle of it just now, 1923.
I have done very diverse things in the past, you know, 2 years, and you know, that's what makes my life so fun. You know, to go from doing Golda or 1923 to doing Shazam, you know, is you know, it really is what we enjoy as actors is jumping into all these different worlds.
And it's International Women's Day today. Please just continue doing what you're doing. Just do what you do. It's wonderful. I don't know whether you are aware of what a kind of, like, you know, an icon you are. Not just... Do you want to have a go for a laugh? I mean, I just think this is going to be such good fun. I'm going to go in goals. I've got high heels on. What have you got?
Yeah, I've got shoes on, but not high heels, so
no.
Yeah.
Will we try?
OK, let's have a go.
Can I laugh? Right, OK then. Here we go. Da, 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 da.
Be careful.
I know. Let's see how many goals you can get. I'll put my gloves on.
Yeah.
I'll put my... Now, look, they've still got the security tag on them, Jill. That's terrible. Somebody nicked them this morning. See?
Right, so I'm going to take penalties against you.
Yes.
OK.
Yes. Yeah. Let me get my glovies on first.
I'm a bit scared here.
And you know what? If you're thinking, if you're at a loose end at any time, please come up and play for Dundee United.
Okay.
We're at the bottom of the league.
Okay.
And we could do with you, Jill. We could do with you. Just put on the tangerine and black. I can't even get these blinking things on.
Are you insured if you get injured?
No, it's fine.
You ready?
Right.
One.
Okay, that's one.
Two.
Oh, two.
Step that way.
Yes.
You saved it.
No, take that one right away. Oh, you're very good at this. You did well.
I'm not actually good at penalties.
You are.
You're doing well.
You're scoring more than I'm saving.
Ready? Oh, Paul. Ready? See if you can get this
up. 10 seconds left.
Oh, post again. Another ball.
I'll fix my goal.
Oh, good save.
I saved that with my high heel.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think you won, Jill.
No, I think you were very good, to be honest.
I think you won. But like I say, if you're not doing anything at the weekend, come with me to Dundee United and we'll sneak you on the pitch. Now, if there was an Oscar for Best Knitwear, it would go to my next guest, 83-year-old Delia Barry. Her jumpers have been worn by the likes of Meryl Streep and Christian Bale, and now taking a lead role in this year's Oscar favourite, The Banshees of Inisherin. Delia joins me now from her home in Dublin. It's so lovely to see you. Thank you for joining us this morning, Delia. And I wanted two things from that movie. I wanted a wee donkey and I wanted one of your jumpers. They're cracking.
I wanted the donkey as well.
I know, the wee donkey. We should knit a jumper for the wee donkey. That could be, that's it, both together. Now, look, how did this start out for you? Because you've knitted jumpers for so many A-list stars.
Yes, it just started out through my local cancer support group, which I'm involved in. And someone there recommended me.
Ah, so it was because I know you joined that group after sadly your husband died, and you joined this group. And obviously you're brilliant at knitting. I know you've been knitting since you were a young girl. So you've knitted for Meryl Streep, for Christian Bale, and then of course, but this movie, there's something about these jumpers in this movie that have worked really well, and particularly that red one you did for Colin Farrell with the with the collar.
I think it's the collar that's the main attraction. Because it's
beautiful.
Quite a long, peaky collar.
Yes, it is. Was that difficult to do, Delia?
Yes, it was a little bit of a challenge. And if I had to do it again, I'd have to start all over again. I didn't write it down.
Oh, really? So it's in your head. Oh, my goodness, that's even better. Head. That's even better. That means nobody else can do it. Nobody else can do it. Did you have to knit? Did you have to knit a couple of those? Because you know sometimes when a movie's filmed, it's over a long period of time. So did you have to do more than one?
Yes, I did. I knitted two of those. Right. And the blue one of those.
Right. And did they get to keep them? That is the most important question.
No,
did all the
they're
boys?
In the archives in the studios.
Are they? Are they? But they must have asked you to knit them a jumper for them. Surely, for goodness sake, you're not going to miss that opportunity.
Brendan Gleeson did.
Did he?
He did, yes.
I'm not surprised. I mean, how lovely to have something like that that actually fits you and works so well. Barry's jumper as well. Now, I like that one too, that had the collar going on. I like that one as well.
Yes, the contrast collar is nice on that.
Isn't it, though? Isn't it? What's it like, though, going to see that film and there are your creations up there? I mean, it
was nice. I went just to see the jumpers at first, but I'll have to go back to see it again.
Listen, we're all there for the jumpers and the wee donkey, let's be honest. Now, do you do these things to order? I mean, I know you love it. I know you absolutely love it. And you find knitting so comforting, relaxing, all of these things.
No, I only knit when they want something.
Right, right. It's only it's only to order for A-listers, that's for sure. I'm afraid I try. I love it, Delia. I love knitting. But great. I've got to graduate on. All I do, look at this.
They're beautiful, those dogs.
Aren't they gorgeous? Everybody in my team, whether they want it or not, they get a blanket for their dog.
They're gorgeous.
I need to get better, Delia.
It's very therapeutic.
Isn't it? Isn't it therapeutic? It makes you feel better. And how excited are you to see the guys and to see all the nominations for the Oscars for that movie?
It's great. It's great at my age to have a bit of excitement like this.
I can't believe you're in your 80s. You look incredible.
I am.
Knitting obviously works. Knitting works. I cannot see...
I think so,
yeah, it does. I cannot wait to see what you do next, what movie there's going to be next, and your creations are going to be there. What a joy to talk to you, Delia. Thank you so much.
Too, Lorraine.
And if you haven't seen The Banshees, you have to watch it just for the jumpers.